Welcome to the Rechurch Podcast. This is Tyler Armstrong, the student pastor at 12th Street Baptist Church in Rainbow City, Alabama, with our lead pastor, Thomas Winborn. We are asking the question, how can we become the church that Jesus intended? All right, welcome to this week's episode of the Rechurch Podcast, a special episode, our first video episode, Thomas. I'm here with Thomas Winborn. What's up, man? How you doing this morning?
Good, man. I'm glad to be with you. It's early, though. We usually do this in the afternoon.
Yeah, man.
First thing in the morning.
I usually do this after like a cup of tea, cup of coffee. I haven't had that yet.
Do you want to tell why we're doing it in the morning?
Yeah, because yesterday during the recording, my wife called to tell me to stop by the grocery store for tacos.
at the very last moment.
Yeah, shout out Ryan. Those tacos taste incredible. I love you, boo. But yeah, the very last moment. So now we're here this morning recording this podcast, and so we're just gonna go with it. So who have you been? Who has your ear this week?
Patrick Lencioni. So Patrick Lencioni is a management guru, and he's written a bunch of books. The most famous one is probably The 5 Dysfunctions of a Team. And this guy, man, the way he writes these parables, basically, that's like 95% of the book. And at the very end, he tells you, here's what you should have learned through this parable. And it's so quick to read, maybe a couple hours to read a book, but I have learned so much about leadership. One of the best
leadership guys, and especially, and he's a believer too, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he's a believer. He's from the Catholic background. He's a believer. Loves Jesus, man.
Yeah, really solid guy. I've been listening to this Pastoring in a Pandemic. It's a podcast released by Nine Marks. Yeah. If you're not familiar with Nine Marks, it's a ministry out of Capitol Hill Baptist Church out of Washington, D.C. I love those guys. Jonathan Lehman's been just asking these pastors from all around the world, how are you pastoring right now in the midst of a pandemic? And I think it's like episode 2, they actually interview a guy from Zambia. And so really interesting to see how, these guys do it and even the ideas that you can hear from them. Yeah. And so if you're interested in that kind of stuff, I'd encourage you to check it out. Who have you been worshiping with?
So this week, I'm giving you guys somebody new, Tennille Nada. It's a lady, I don't like all her stuff, but this song Mercy that she sings has really been resonating with me. And I think it's really going to resonate with a crowd that may hear this that doesn't connect with a lot of the other styles of music I listen to. It's very different. So Mercy by Tennille Nada. Thomas,
I don't know if y'all know this, Thomas has like a worship playlist where he's been sending it out on Facebook if you haven't seen it. And one of the things he's been doing is using this. And so like sometimes like just a random assortment of music, which I really appreciate.
Sure.
Somebody who serves in this church or somebody who's a member of this church, because I can actually see, hey, this is who's been influencing his heart and who he's been worshiping with. So it's been really beneficial for me. So shout out to you for that.
Thanks, man.
I've been listening to Romans 8 live by Emmanuel Worship. So I saw this album like dropped a while back, but then we started our series on Romans 8. Yeah. And so I've been listening to it. This is Emmanuel Worship. They're out of Nashville, Tennessee. I love Ray Ortland. Like he's one of my favorite pastors from afar.
All the time.
Oh yeah, dude, I love this guy. He actually doesn't pastor this church anymore. He passed over to what's that guy's name? TJ Timms, I think I'm mistaken. I'm probably just totally butchered that. But anyway, I love this album because it has such a unique Nashville sound. Like, you can hear the steel guitar in the background, and all of it is based upon Romans 8, like every song. And they have Shaolin, who's a Christian rapper, reading scripture, and like Ray Ortland, like speaking at different times. Like, it's just such a neat live album. And so I've been listening to it to try to help myself memorize Romans 8. And so I would encourage you, if you're interested in that kind of stuff, it has kind of a country feel to it, which I don't necessarily mind. Yeah. And when I say country, not like Florida Georgia Line, that's not country. I'm talking like real country, steel guitar in the background. It's good. Yeah. I'd encourage anybody to listen to it. What have you been reading?
So I started this, I mentioned it a while back, but I've been reading it more. We were camping out in the backyard like 3 or 4 days last week during the week. I was sleeping outside with the kids, and I was just reading by the fire, and The Multiplication Effect by Mac Lake. Man, I've been breezing through this book, and it's been really good. If you want to be a leader who multiplies yourself, who reproduces yourself, which is a biblical mandate, this book helps you set up a plan to do that down to the specifics. And so it's a really great book. I breezed through like from chapter 6 to chapter 18 like one night, basically.
That's
just
awesome.
Couldn't put it down. It's really good. Mac Lake, The Multiplication Effect. What about you?
For me, I've been flipping through the Pastor's Book by R. Kent Hughes. Yeah. I think that any guy who's going into ministry, or anybody who's going to be in pastoral ministry for sure, needs to have this book.
Sure.
I've used it for a past class, and I'm taking another class that's using this as the textbook. And so, like last night, like I had to read about funeral services, and like I mean, just the idea of death as an evangelist, you know, like, and just I mean, just he brings Arkent Hughes, I mean, just great pastor, you know, just brings so many pastoral insights. So great book. I've been flipping through that.
My friend George out of Fort Worth hit me up last night, and he just read a book by Arkent Hughes, and his wife Barbara Hughes also helped to write it. It's called Liberating Ministry from the Success Syndrome. And he was basically like, if you haven't read it, go buy it today and read it. Because I've read it before. I had it in a doctoral class.
Have you read Disciplines of a Godly Man? Have you read that one?
I've got it. I've read some of it. Yeah, it's really good.
It's phenomenal, dude. It's so good.
But this guy's prolific. And in fact, Tyler, you and I, we listen to him a lot. We'll read him a lot because we look at his commentaries on just about every passage.
Probably, I mean, in my opinion, some of the best modern pastoral commentaries out there. The Preaching the Word commentary.
Yeah, I don't know if you can see it in the camera, but it's like right up here on the top for what you've got of it. Yeah, it's really great.
And the cool thing is, if you have the ESV app, you know, on your phone, you can pay for a subscription and you can get every commentary digitally.
Yeah, for really cheap.
For cheap, man.
For a couple bucks.
Like just a couple of bucks a year, and I mean, and you can access that digitally. So like, if you like come upon a confusing passage, you can look at the ESV Study Bible, which has more study-focused apps, and then you can read a guy's sermon on that.
Yeah.
And see how he broke it down. And so it's been, I love those commentaries. They're some of my favorites. And so, what's a book that everyone needs to read? This is our big statement every week. If this is the first time you're tuning in, like this is the book that we most time recommend, like a Christian classic or some kind of resource. So what's a book that everyone needs to read if they're watching this right now?
It's getting hard because we've been doing this for a while.
Yeah,
and so
we're on
running down the
episode
list.
9 or 10 now?
Yeah,
11,
like
somewhere around there.
So this one is by Martin Luther, not Martin Luther King, but Martin Luther, the reformer, 500 years ago, wrote a short treatise called On Christian Liberty. And it's basically on the freedom of a Christian. I like Luther because, I mean, he's the spark that ignited the fire that basically roared through all of Europe for the Reformation to hit, and into England, and then it's impacted the world. But I like Luther because he basically doesn't mince his words.
Yeah.
And so the old adage that I've heard before is that, you know, Zwingli, who was a pretty famous guy in the Reformation, that he battled like he was battling with a dagger, and Calvin battled like he battled with a sword, and like fencing style, but Luther battles like he has a club. And so when he's like going after the Pope, which is
he's a hammer looking for a nail.
Yeah, exactly.
In a lot of ways.
He's basically laying out these insults that make me laugh out loud. I'm not saying they're great. You shouldn't do this.
Yeah, it's really funny. There used to be a website that was like called like lutherinsults.com, Luther's insult something, and you could like type it, like you could like hit a random Martin Luther insult,
right, and
then send it to your friends. So like back when I was in college, like we had some friends of mine that we just send Martin Luther insults back and forth.
Yeah, that's good. And I don't know, I probably shouldn't say this, but my favorite insult that he throws out.
But he's going to say it. Notice this.
Not necessarily that you should say this, but the way he says it, he basically is coming against the Pope, right? Because he's trying to talk about we shouldn't be selling indulgences, letting people into heaven, quote, by
anti-gospel
selling
stuff.
things. Yeah, anti-gospel at the time. And so he basically says to the Pope that you are the excrement pooped out by Satan.
Yeah.
But he says it in way more vulgar language than
Very
that.
German, thick.
Because he was a dude that lived in the midst of a bunch of dudes. He was a monk, right? And so you got dude talk. They talk about bathroom talk. That's what guys do. That's what boys do, you know? And so I think that's part of it. We wouldn't talk like that today, but that's how Luther talked.
No, we try not to talk that way.
And he says it very eloquently. I mean, almost to where you're like, man, that was really harsh and bad, but like, I didn't mind listening to it.
Yeah, well, that's the funny thing about those insults. Like, you can send them to like different guys, and then everybody like, what in the world is he even talking about? You know, but it was an insult. And okay, so for me, y'all, I'm going to recommend this little book right here. It's the New City Catechism by Tim Keller and Sam Shamas. I love the New City Catechism. I was telling Thomas yesterday, I cannot wait for Brooks. He's 18 months just recently. It's crazy. But as soon as he gets old enough, I want to sit down with him and do these once a week. And they have, the cool thing is the website has kids resources, they have apps, they have devotionals. I mean, genuinely it's almost limitless.
Yeah, I think you said the app's free. I couldn't recall if it's free or not.
Yeah, the app, I think, if I'm not mistaken, I believe the app is free.
What we loved about the app personally is that when you go through this, like each question has a long answer, like an adult answer, and then they have a shortened version. Even in the booklet, it shows you a different coloring of it. So it shows you the short answer for kids. But in the app, it actually has song put to each of these so that you can memorize it. The kids can memorize it by singing it. Yeah. And so it's really, really good stuff, man.
And it also has like scripture that you can dive into further and all these things. I mean, like the first question is, what is our only hope in life and death? And it's like that we are not our own, but belong to God. You know, that's the kids' version, but then obviously the adult version goes deeper. Yeah. The other day, I got a friend of mine that he's taking his daughter through it. She's 4, and he's been posting like their journey through it on Facebook. And he's like, like who are we? Like, who do we belong to? And she said Jesus. Like, and the reason why she knew that was because they've been catechizing her. And now, this is kind of an ancient form of discipleship. I mean, this is how the church has always done it.
Good.
Since the beginning, and the best thing about it, 52 questions. So one for each week of the year. Ask a question. Ask that question each week over dinner and all these things. So I would highly recommend this resource to anyone.
People think you need to wait on this till kids get older, but kids develop at early stages by memorization.
Yeah.
And so this is perfect for little kids.
Yeah, for like 3-4 years old.
Yeah,
I even told Ryan, I was like, man, when Brooks gets to be 2, when he can sit down a little bit longer. Like right now, like it's like most of our prayer time is, okay, God, thank you for Brooks. Thank you for this day. Amen. Then he like hits me over the head with a bat. Like, that's about our prayer time right now. But I think once he gets a little bit older, maybe we can start introducing some of these things.
Let me throw this back in too. I meant to say on Christian Liberty part, that's something that's free. Because
oh, yeah,
around for so
free.
long, you find it online for free. That's an easy one. Or $1 on Kindle or something like that. But New City Catechism is not expensive either. $5-7, something like that. It's a really good resource.
Yeah, and once again, app, download it. It's digital, so you can put that on your kids' apps, and it's great. So, all right. So what are we talking about today?
So we're talking about reopening.
Okay, but hold up. Yeah, I was about to say, we just talked about this. So why are we talking about it again?
Well, so last time we talked about it with all the things we were thinking through concerning reopening.
Pure speculation.
Yeah, what do we have to think through to get to the point of reopening? And now
I think kind of the reason why we did that was because we knew that Governor Ivey was going to be coming out soon and saying, hey, I mean, just by the way the nation was trending at the moment. Hey, we're about to reopen.
Yeah, well, in fact, we recorded it like a week before she opened things back up.
Yeah, and so like we kind of figured, we're like, okay, we need our people to be thinking about, hey, what does this mean? Like, does that mean that as soon as we reopen, we're back at church on Sunday?
Right.
Like a lot of our people actually thought we could do, but then we also have people that were like, wait, pump the brakes. So we have been thinking through this. This is something that we've been thinking through. So now I'm just going to speak for the both of us. Now we're going to release our plan and talk about when we're reopening, how it's going to look, and all these things. So what day are we going to be gathering together and worship again in person?
Yeah, right now what we have set aside is June 7th. June 7th is going to be our first day open. But now that's I put an asterisk there. We're not going back to normal on June 7th. Right, we're not going back to normal.
I'm gonna be honest with you, and I think a lot of people like may resonate with this. I don't know if going back to normal is ever going to be a thing. Like, does that make sense? Like, I think
a new normal.
Yeah, there's gonna be a new normal. I think I like using the language. We talked about this as seasons.
Sure.
We're in a completely new season now. Like what was normal before? Like, I mean, like most people who study economics are saying that we've been launched 10 years ahead, which we've been talking about for a while. Yeah. And so I think that ministry as usual, like, I mean, we were talking about the other day, student ministry, like camps, all these things, like they're going to have to change.
Yeah.
And so I genuinely think that whatever normal is for us, we still don't even know really what that looks like. Like, this is just a step in the process to get us back there.
Just a small sample of that is the fact that we've never gone through and sanitized our entire building in one sweep before. It's never happened. We've had diseases and things that are
flu. I think it was like last year at VBS we had like a small.
Oh yeah, a bunch of kids got sick.
Yeah, a bunch of kids. Yeah.
So now though we're talking about one part of this is sanitizing the building every time we have people in here.
Yeah.
So, but this week, June 7th, we're making some changes. They're really big changes. So the first big things we got to remember is that, we're not going to open up for 2 services. We're going to maintain drive-in church.
Yes.
But we are changing times on things because we're trying to figure out how to do this well. How do you have people come into the parking lot, to park to go to a service, and then leave without intermixing with people that are coming in for drive-in church and creating a giant block up?
Just a huge log jam. Right. So, like, what times are we going to be gathering?
So the early time that we do our live stream will be our modern service. We're going
just like it was before, about 2 months ago when we were still gathering.
Yeah, so the modern service will be our live stream. That's going to happen at 9:30 a.m., 9:30. And then at 11, we'll do drive-in. So we're also going to
notice that small change on drive-in.
Yeah, not 11:15.
Not 11:15, 11. If you show up at 11:15... Thomas is probably gonna be preaching, all right.
Yeah,
so which is fine. I mean, you can sneak in the back of the parking lot, but 11, not 11:15.
And that isn't starting now. It's not get confused. That's June 7th.
June 7th. We're still doing everything normal until our normal currently until June 7th.
Yep.
So let's talk about entrances and exits. So let's say me, Ryan, Brooks, we come to worship that Monday. That Sunday. We don't worship on Mondays. That Sunday.
We worship every day.
Yeah, we do worship every day. I'm talking about local church gathered together, man. It's a long night, bro. And so, where do we need to come in at? Do I just walk through the main entrance?
No, so what we're doing, if you're coming to our early service, our modern service, the live streaming service, then we want you to park down beside the preschool entrance. So if you come into our parking lot and you're looking at the front of our building, it'll be on the left.
Big blue fence.
Yeah, you turn left, you go on the left side, you park down that side, and then all the way around the back.
Is there enough parking back there?
Yeah, we got 57 parking spaces.
Look at you knowing that.
Well,
Yeah, we counted that.
Yeah.
So it's not like we just have to have many parking spaces to memorize. Like we talked about this yesterday in staff meeting. We're like, how many parking spaces do we have? So I think Charles went and counted for us.
Yeah, so we're gonna have enough parking, I believe. If we need to, we'll park some other places. We'll have people helping park, but we'll park along that side, and we're gonna come in the back door, the single door in the sanctuary.
We got Walmart style, one entrance barricaded in, and we're just gonna that way we can get a head count, make sure we don't exceed capacity and all those things. So when I say Walmart style, if you've been to the grocery stores, like they have like these barricades up to make sure that everybody stays in and they can get a good accurate head count.
Yeah. And we're going to do that too because we're also going to limit our capacity to about 50%.
Yeah.
Now, I don't think we'll have 50% in the room. I think with drive-in church, we're going to have lower numbers. Most churches are reporting that have already opened, 25 to 50% of people are coming back. So right now, and others are still live streaming.
Yeah.
So we're going to have that. If there's inclement weather, we might open up some other doors at that point in time, like coming through the playground or something where it's covered and you can walk through a covered area. But for right now, that's where we're going to have that one entrance, and that'll be our one exit as well. And know this, when we do leave, we will also leave by rows.
Yeah.
So we will kind of section in rows and out. So, okay, this row can go. That way people don't get jammed up trying to get out the door, and we don't have to be rubbing shoulders, rubbing elbows, and trying to keep the 6-foot rule.
And to help us out too, if you've been to drive-in church, we have a new parking lot team. There's a bunch of great men in our church. We're going to continue that ministry and make it even more sniper focused on what we need to be doing on all of these things. And so like they're going to be directing you to where to park. There's going to be new handicap spaces that we're making for our senior adult members or anybody who needs a handicap space. And then they're going to be able to help you exit as well, so that there's not going to be a log jam. And so, which I genuinely think that this really could work. I mean, I think once again we don't know yet until we see what happens.
It's all
but I think that this is going to be a great plan for us, especially dismissing by rows. And so now let's talk about this once you get back into the room. So now,
before we do that, make sure we understand for some of our older folks that want to be here, we're going to have some handicap parking right across the front by the door as well. So there will be slots for you, but we'll do our best. And we'll also have the potential, if we have a lot of folks come that need help to get in the building, we have a golf cart, we can pick people up their cars, we got all kinds of things we can do. So we're just trying to figure it out as we go. Yeah,
and it's going to be one of those things, y'all, that like just be patient because we're still figuring this out. This is a completely new season of ministry for all of us. I mean, so be patient with us, and we'll be patient with you, and we're going to love Jesus together and worship gladly. So me, Ryan Brooks, we come into that back door. What do we need to do?
Well, so you're going to notice something really strange at first. We've taken out every other row.
Yeah.
And so we're asking people when they come in.
But wait, what's the gap between those rows?
About 7 feet.
Oh, man, perfect.
Yeah, so it's about 7 feet between the rows. And we are asking people, when you enter a row, you pick out whatever row you want to go to, just go to the far end of that row and sit down. And then when you come into a row that already has people in it, we want you to leave at least 3 empty chairs between you and that other family unit.
3 empty chairs, y'all, is exactly 6 feet.
Yeah.
And so family units can sit together if you live in the same household. That's kind of our thing. You can sit together. But if you do not live in the same household, we ask that you sit 3 feet apart.
Yeah,
and
three
feet. Gosh, man. 3 chairs apart. Dr. Fauci just somewhere just went, 3 feet, no!
Yeah, so we're separating out to 6 feet apart in that way, and we're also reducing capacity because of that. That's how it's going to look. And we're asking when you come in to make sure you give that space. So again, if you're a family unit, you sit together at the end of the row, and then when you come in, if there's already a family in that row, then you keep 3 chairs between you and that group. Okay, and so that's how we want you to separate out. We'll remind people as they're walking in with our greeters in that way. Also, good to recognize that the giving, people want to be giving, right?
Yeah.
And so people have been giving so well. We'll talk about that in a second, but we want to make sure you know we're not passing plates, and so there'll be a box in the back of the room that you can give.
Which has been there.
It's been there for a long time.
Yeah. We've been ready. We're kind of in a way ready for this.
Yes. And then at drive-in church, we have a box people can drive by and drop in if they want to give, or you can give online. I mean, that's the cleanest, easiest way
option
to give without having to worry about giving, contamination, all that stuff with giving. Knowing that online, we also have the option when you give, there's fees associated with that for us. And so there's a button you can click. It's a heart. And when you click that, then you pay the fees for the giving, and the church doesn't get hit with that out of your tithe. So But those are the ways of giving in that way. And then if we're overflowing with people, which I don't really expect at first, but if we are, then we have opened up the student area, and there will be social distancing seating in there as well, and we will live stream it in, and so you can still participate with people, but it'll be live streamed into that room. And if we have a large number of people, we have other rooms we can use.
Yeah, we have multiple overflow rooms that we've been working through ideas and all these things. Yeah. And just going back to the giving thing, like we were talking about this yesterday in staff meeting, just kind of praising God. 12th Street, you've been so faithful. I mean, it has just been so overwhelming, just by the grace of God, that we were expecting. I mean, what was the number? 20 to 25%.
I was thinking at least 25% drop in giving, based off what we see other churches having, and also what the experts are saying.
So have we seen that?
No, in fact, we were a little bit low in giving in the first of the year, maybe about 10% down.
Now this is pre-pandemic.
Pre-pandemic.
Yeah.
But now what we've actually seen is people are giving up to normal, what we expected with our budget, or above that.
That's crazy.
It's nuts. And we know some people can't give as much
because
they're struggling right
with
now.
their jobs. I mean, everything's so different now.
Yeah.
But there are people still giving above and beyond. Yeah. And so...
Yeah. And we get when it's struggling. We understand that. I mean, you've got to take care of your family.
This is just such a crazy season. Take care of your family.
But the people are still faithful, even in that. And then people that are giving even more.
Which is just so... I mean, praise God. I mean, just He is so good.
It is so encouraging to be part of a faith family that wants to be that generous.
And that's buying into the ministry to allow us to continue to reach people.
Well, that means they trust the leadership, but also they're faithful to the church, but even more so faithful to their Lord. And that's the huge part of being a part of a faith family like this, is that people are committed. Yeah. And it's very encouraging to be a part of a faith family where people are basically saying, we're going to do whatever it takes to serve the community and serve the kingdom, even in the midst of something like this.
Yeah. And so thank you, 12th Street. That is our thank you. I mean, we love you all. Yeah. It's just been incredible to be a part of. So let me ask you this, okay? So my son is actually here with me this morning. He's somewhere with Olivia right now. Right. And so and you saw him when he came in this morning, bat in hand, ball in other hand, he's just hitting everything in sight, all right? Like he is the little Martin Luther, that we talk about. So let's just say, I mean, he's rambunctious, so we bring him to service, and he starts getting loud. Is there anything I can do in that? Like, I mean, kids ministry, like what's going on there?
Yeah, so we're not doing any kids ministry right now at all. So there's no kids ministry right now. We're basically looking at a possibility of doing a few events through the summer, but really kicking back off into full swing when schools kick back in. That's kind of our plan right now, and all that could change. We'll see what happens. But so first of all, if you have kids, let me say this. If you have kids and you're in the service...
Thomas, do you have kids?
Yeah. So most people know I have 5 kids, 8 and under, so I live in virtual chaos all the time.
Organized mass chaos.
So in our house, my wife and I are talking.
Like, it is incredible to watch y'all work, man. Like, it's awesome.
We can talk through just about anything. Sometimes we have to stop them because they're so loud we can't hear literally.
Yes.
But otherwise, we can work through anything. It doesn't really bother us. Some people get overwhelmed pretty quickly, especially folks without kids, but it doesn't bother us. So I'm saying that to you.
I love it.
If you have kids and you're in the service, if they're acting up a little bit, talking, making some noise, that does not bother me. It does not bother most people in the room. And most
in fact, it's a sign of a growing church.
Man, how beautiful is it to have the sounds of children listening to someone speak the word of God, watching their parents worship? How are they going to learn, really, if they don't see their parents worship?
I mean, this really could be a great opportunity for discipleship. Like, that's what I was telling Ryan the other day, even just being at home with Brooks more. Yeah. Like, we will never get this time back. Like there are so many parents that do not have this time with their kids. Yeah. And we have extra time with him. And so, I mean, it's kind of like a weird blessing in disguise,
It's a huge thing. It's a huge thing that we have. In fact, Tracy's been putting together these sheets that have like games and puzzles and stuff that work with the sermon. That are centered around Scripture. Yeah, around the Scripture we're preaching on that week. And she has a coloring sheet for the little kids. Yeah. I mean, you can even take that home and have a family devotion just recounting the main points of the sermon at their level.
Yeah. And like going back to driving church, like Brooks loves driving church because like he's in the front seat of the car blowing the horn while you're preaching, and he's the only one blowing the horn while you're preaching.
I thought you were saying amen.
No, dude, that's him. And so I'm questioning whether or not he's Baptist. Like I think he's more Baptist-costal than his father is, and so. But I mean, he's dancing.
Makes you nervous just to say that.
Yeah, dude, it does. I'm kidding. And so, I have some more charismatic family members.
But here's what we do though. If you feel overwhelmed and you feel like you've got to step out for a moment or for the rest of the service, whatever you need to do. I love this,
y'all. This is Tracy Griggs.
She came up with this idea.
Oh, it's so good.
We're taking all of the rooms down the hall from the service, from our main auditorium, we already have the nursing mother's room, okay? And there's
Which is
places,
still going to be open.
Yeah, it's still open. Places where you can change your kids, you can wipe down everything when you're done, you can change your kids if you need to, change diapers in the bathrooms, we have places for that.
In the men and women restroom.
Yes, but if you need a place for your family, each of those rooms down that hall, that are normally even Sunday school rooms, those rooms are going to be used as a family room.
Yeah, and they have TVs. We're going to be able to live. Every room is going to be live streaming the service into that room.
Yeah.
And so that way, like, let's just say, I mean, Brooks is acting up. Me and Ryan and him can go down to the family room and let him just run around that room, have a good time, play with his toys, while me and my wife are still engaging in the worship service.
Yeah, and we'll have somebody there to direct you, to help you find that if you don't know where that is. But what's really great about it is even better. There's a delay of about 6 to 9 seconds on the live stream, and so you may not even miss anything by the time you get to it.
Yeah, by the time I get on there, it'll be where I was.
You're right where you were. Yeah.
It's like going back in time.
Yeah.
Back to the future. You know?
Right.
Hop in the DeLorean. But really though, I mean, I love this idea. I think that, like, and if anything, if there's any young families going, man, I want to come back to church. Like, I want to come back.
Yeah.
I think this is such an encouraging thing to think about, because y'all, like, this gives you the opportunity to say, you know what, there is a place for my kid to go. And the best thing is that we're going to put something on the doors. That way we can say this room's occupied. Yeah. That way that, you know, you don't cross-contaminate with another family or anything like that. Just to keep you safe. Just to keep our family safe. But I love this idea. So thank you, Tracy. That was a wonderful idea.
And just to segue to that about sanitizing, just to say that we have a system we've developed from working with, like, Bob Blum, who used to run a waste management company, who knows about decontamination, has been helping us to research.
The guy's a beast.
Yeah, dude. And he's found out a lot of things about this process. And as we've been researching, we found out what some of the fire stations are doing between calls to decontaminate. A really simple process. And so we are using a food grade decontaminant that is really good. It's okay to be around. And we're spraying that on everything, everywhere when people leave.
When you say food grade, what do you mean? Some people may not understand.
Something that it's a decontaminant that you can spray, and if it lands on something that you eat, if you eat that, it's not going to be harmful to you. So that's crazy. Now, some people might disagree with some of that based off the chemical compositions of things and stuff like that. What you want to eat, that's up to you. But however, what I'm saying is, it's safe to be in the same room with it. In fact,
I may eat it on purpose.
You can enter into the room within 5 minutes, and all that's out of the air, and it's already doing its job. In fact, we use this every day after the preschool closes. We have our Steve, who does this for us, goes in and behind it in every room, sprays everything in every area of the room, and it's dry within about 10 minutes.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's really good.
And so we were actually estimating that it was going to be dry in about 20 minutes, and now it dries in 10 minutes.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
It's good.
So we're going to be we're sanitizing the service. When are we doing that?
We're doing that the day after. Right now, because we're only doing once.
Yeah.
We're not having 2 services. We're gonna wait 24 hours, then somebody can go in and then sanitize the whole thing.
Nice.
Trying to work as safe as we can.
So, and another thing that we're going to encourage everyone to do is, if you have a mask, please bring it and wear it. Yeah. This is just for just to be a good steward, just so that we can keep everyone safe. They're encouraging you to do this when you go into a public place. And so this is what we're trying to do. We are trying to do this so that we can be sure to take care of our people who may be immunocompromised, so that we can do all those things. Thanks, brother. And so my biggest thing that, we need to mention, though, is that if you're on stage, if you're doing anything like that, we're not going to be wearing a mask. And why is that, Thomas?
Well, no mask, because it's really hard to preach with a microphone attached to your face when you have a mask on. It'd be rubbing, making lots of noise, or people singing on stage. You wouldn't be able to audibly understand what they're saying. So we're not going to wear a mask on the stage, but we do want to protect our folks that are the most susceptible that might come. And so that's the reason why we want everybody to wear a mask if you have one. Yeah. And it's not comfortable. I don't prefer to wear a mask. I don't want to wear a mask. But if I am off the stage and if I'm not preaching, I'm going to be wearing a mask.
When I go up there to do the welcome or the scripture reading that we've been doing, I'm going to take my mask off and I'm going to put it immediately back on. So my mask is going to be hanging off my ear, but this is just a great way for us to keep our people safe, and that way we don't spread the virus. So many times, there was that church in South Korea at the beginning of the pandemic that one lady contaminated 80,000 people. They traced it all back 8,000 people. I'm trying to remember how many people. What? 80,000.
Well, the largest outbreak from one location in Alabama has been from a church.
Yeah.
And so we want to be careful about that.
Yeah, we just want to be wise, and just say the words of Jesus: "Be as wise as serpent, as peaceful as doves." And,
we know this too, because when you have a new baby, the worst place you can bring that baby is probably church. Everybody wants to hug on that baby, kiss that baby, put the hands in the mouth. It's weird, no
hugging, none of that stuff right now, man.
Yeah, maybe
I saw one church had a hugging section. Did you see that?
Yeah.
Yeah, they had a plastic cup and you could stick your arms through it and hug one another. And I was like, that is so funny. But
we're not gonna do that.
We're not doing that. No, like I can't set myself to do that.
In addition to all these things, we're also going to have automatic hand sanitizers. So the kind that you put your hand under and hand sanitizer comes out. If you have your own, bring it. We've ordered these things. They haven't shown up yet.
In limited supplies too.
Yeah, in limited supplies. So they haven't shown up yet. So we're hoping to have that. We think we'll have that by then. They say that we will have that, but we're not sure about that. So be aware of those things as well.
And on top of that too, just going back to the mask. All of our volunteers are going to be wearing masks as well. And so greeters, parking lot people, everybody's going to be wearing a mask. And so that way, I mean, just once again, we just want to be safe. That's what these hand sanitizing stations are going to do. And then we're going to sanitize behind you. So each week you're going to come in and this room's going to be squeaky clean. All right. It's going to be like that scene from Space Jam. Do you remember that scene where Taz goes around and...
I've literally never watched Space Jam.
You've never seen Space Jam?
That was popular when you were a kid.
Bro.
Not when I was a kid.
It doesn't matter, dude. Okay, y'all, we gotta watch Space Jam. There's a scene where Tasmanian Devil.
They ask who's watched it of people that have watched it.
Yeah, we will, because like there's a scene where like they do spit shine and they all spit on the ground and then Taz like goes around and like cleans the gym up and then he goes lemony fresh. And so
it's funny you mentioned that.
It's so funny.
The chemical we're using is called lemon 7.
Oh man, every week I'm just gonna send lemony fresh, just like Taz. We're just gonna play that scene. I'm gonna cut it out of Space Jam, and you're gonna go home and watch it. It's on Netflix.
Maybe.
Dude, let your kids watch it. It's great.
My kids were begging me to watch The Princess Bride, so we did. That's an awesome one to watch, by the way. But my kids last night, you know what they wanted to watch? They wanted to watch that. Oh, I can't remember the name now. It's the twins that switch places.
I was hoping you was going to say Coyote Peterson. No. I was like, yes, I've got them hooked.
Now, what's the name of that? They swap places.
Oh, Parent Trap.
Parent Trap.
Yeah.
They didn't want to watch the new one. We watched the 1961.
Not the one with Lindsay Lohan?
No.
See, I watched the old one.
It's hard to watch that now.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Yes. Well, y'all, really quick, let's go back here. Let's finish this out. Drive-in church.
Yeah, and don't forget, earlier time.
Earlier time. So 11 o'clock.
9:30 will be the live streaming modern service where you can come in the room.
Mm-hmm.
At 11 o'clock, not 11:15, 11 a.m. is going to be drive-in service.
With a more traditional feel.
Yeah, so when at June 7, we're going to swap back to where the drive-in church will still have a guitar and one person singing and playing guitar, just because our soundboard out there won't do more than that. But we're going to be doing more traditional music at that point. And we're not going to be doing like a mix of stuff. We're going to be more traditional. And then on the internals at 9:30, we'll have a modern style for our live stream.
Just like we were doing before the pandemic. And I love that we're keeping drive-in church an option.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, we talked about this. The whole live stream thing that we've started, man, it's good. It really is good.
It's the front door of the church.
It's the front door of our church now. Like, I mean, this is the first thing that people are seeing online now to get in. But nothing can beat gathering together. And one of the best things that we did during the pandemic was drive-in church. Yeah. I mean, and now that people that are immunocompromised and all this, I mean, it is such a blessing to be able to see people in the parking lot and even just wave at them. I mean, it's not the same as gathering in person. Sure. But it is the next best thing. I mean, it isn't. I love every Sunday go up on the roof and like count the cars and all this because I'm like, this is so incredible to see. Yeah. And it's safe. I mean, it's safe. Especially when, and our church has done a great job of abiding by the rules.
And I can tell you, I'm super tired of looking at a camera with nobody else in the room except our audio, video, tech people, which I love what they're doing, but sitting in the background not paying attention to what I'm saying because they're working on stuff the whole time. Yeah. You know what I mean? They're listening, but they're working the whole time. It's so awkward. I mean, it really is. I mean, like yesterday, we had a guy come up and preach for the first time. Josh preached for the first time. The first time he ever preached was to an empty room, to a camera with like 2 or 3 people in the room. It's so hard to do. Oh man, and I can't wait to watch it tonight. For our Philippians study, I cannot wait to see how he did because I mean, I could imagine preaching to an empty room for my first sermon. Oh, no way. I mean, he's preached before. He has experience preaching, but doing that here, it's been a while since he's had that experience, and so I mean, first time preaching here. That's why. And it's really hard, but that's why we love driving church. It's gonna be so good to be back in a room and not just during the camera, but be having people in there that we know and love, and we're basically having a conversation with over Scripture. And so I'm really excited about that as well. But remember the time change. 9:30 will be the early service, modern service, where we'll live stream. You'll come in the room for a modern service, and 11 o'clock will be our drive-in church, 11 a.m., not 11:15, starting June 7th. So we'll be announcing it, we'll be putting out word, but this is the first step of telling everybody about it. So what are you looking forward to the most, about regathering in person? Like looking forward to June 7th. Like I don't think June 6th, I may not even sleep that night. Like I'm that excited.
So
I don't usually sleep the night before I
yeah,
preach either.
yeah.
So
I don't sleep, and so
yeah, that's a good question, man. I think just being in the same room with people, but it's hard because I'm kind of a hugger. I want to go up and hug people and be excited to see one another. It's going to be good. There's going to be a little bit of trepidation for some people though. So
yeah.
I hate that, but it's just part of the process we live in right now.
Yeah.
You know? So I'm really excited about just being in the same room together, enjoying that, trying to lead well. It's sharing the word, worshiping, singing music together.
That's what I was about to say. I think the
good.
thing I'm looking forward to the most is congregational worship. Like I watched, I think it was Adam Swan, a friend of ours. I watched I watched his service they did outdoor this past week, and just to hear congregational singing on video, like I was like, I missed that so much. I mean, because we've been just live in a room or even driving church.
Yeah.
All we can hear is just one guy. We can't hear, and all this stuff. Which I would love to hear the people singing in their cars, but
Sure.
we don't have that, and so.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to congregational
And that's
singing.
something we haven't even talked about on this, but we batted around a little bit yesterday, is the idea of possibly doing something more engaging outdoors, right?
Yeah.
Having drive-in possibly down the road, where we have drive-in for people that want to stay in their car, but also where people can hear if they get out in their lawn chairs and do that.
Just
Since
like
we're
driving
allowable
theater
now
style.
to do that,
Yeah.
Everybody's kind of 6 feet away from each other, except for family units, but still be able to get out of your chairs, enjoy it a little bit more. That's something we're thinking through. But we just want to be as careful as we can. There's so many people that have said, I love driving church, even though you're opening up, I want to come in, but my wife has struggled with cancer and she has autoimmune issues, or just people that don't want to put themselves in that situation.
Yeah, well, my family's a good example. Like, I use me as the example, but Brooks is so young right now, and he can't social distance. Like, you can't teach a 1.5-year-old to social distance, and so I've just said, you know what, best thing for us is just to stick with driving church for my family for a while until everything gets a little bit calmed down and the curve continues to flatten and all those things.
Yeah.
And so which is fine with us. We're completely content with that because driving church is such a great option.
It is good.
And so it's not the same, but I'm looking forward to it. And so,
Sure.
Well, brother, this has been a great episode of Rechurch Podcast. Hey, listen, if you haven't tuned in to any of the other episodes, you can go to our website, www.12th.co, and go to the resource tab, and the Rechurch Podcast is what this is called. You can scroll down, click on it. We have about 9-10 episodes now, I think so.
I can't remember.
I don't even know, man. Yeah, we didn't even wear birthday hats for our 10th episode.
And I want to do a shout out to Tyler. Would you pray for Tyler? He's going through Hebrew right now, and
I think this is the first episode I haven't complained about it.
Well, I will tell you this, that Tyler's not only doing a Hebrew class from afar, distance learning, he's also doing it in a short time frame, the way the classes work, and he's doing it with another class.
Yes.
And so the fact that you didn't sleep much last night due to studying for Hebrew.
Yeah, and then my son decided to wake up at 4:45 for breakfast. He was like wide awake.
My wife either couldn't get me up or didn't wake me up because she had the kids wake up at like 5 a.m.
Yeah. And so, man, it's just, it's a trial, but Thomas laughed at me when I said that I was taking Hebrew in another class. Which,
when you said you were going to do it, I laughed out loud. You're like, it's not a big deal. Your Greek wasn't that bad,
Greek was rough, but I think I came out with like a mid B and then a high B, in Greek, which I was like, hey, yeah, I made it through it. I survived.
Yeah. It's hard.
It was hard. Hebrew.
It's like Sanskrit. It's hard, man.
I'm a big Star Wars guy, and there's that episode. I was watching Rise of Skywalker the other night, and there's that scene where like C-3PO gets the sword, the little dagger, and he pulls it out, and it has the Sith language. It's like, that's Hebrew. Yeah. It looks just like Hebrew, and I'm like, man, reading right to left. Like I showed Ryan this thing. I was like, hey Ryan, can you look at this? And the entire book is in right to left, even the numbers. She goes, why is it like that? Because she's a kindergarten teacher, and so it's just so funny. But yeah, I think I'm week 4 now, week 5 of Hebrew, and so I had a message from my professors the other night and apologized because I thought, man, look, I know I'm behind in this course, but I'm taking Hebrew. I'm working full time at a church right now. We're in the process of trying to reopen and all this, and he said, man, I get it, and so which I gotta call him after this, and so we'll see what happens. But y'all, thank y'all so much. Tune into our other episodes. This has been a lot of fun. I know a lot of you have enjoyed this, and doing video content. If y'all like this could be something that we do. Who knows? We could keep doing this, and so let us know. We may have faces for podcasts, but not faces for video. We'll see. So tune in next week for the Rechurch Podcast. Peace out, peeps.